And the US has imposed sweeping sanctions on former Democratic Republic of Congo President Joseph Kabila, accusing him of backing the M23 rebel group. Washington alleges he provided financial support, encouraged defections from the Congolese army, and even sought to launch attacks on the military from outside the country.
Britain's King Charles III came to the United States to mark Britain's loss in the War of Independence. He left when his 7-year-old monarch faced a number of possible pitfalls from a bombastic US president known for creating controversy and generating headlines at the lowest moment for US-UK relations in modern history.
And a man has been charged with attempted murder after 2 Jewish men were stabbed in London in what police described as a terrorist incident. The 2 men, aged 76 and 34, were stabbed in Golders Green, North London, on Wednesday.
Workers are gathering in cities around the world to mark International Labour Day, with some demonstrations, such as those in Istanbul, Turkey, turning to scuffles with police. Trade unions are calling for solidarity and the protection of workers' rights as the United States-Israeli war on Iran and rising energy costs raise concerns about the global economy. At least 44 Iranian seafarers have been killed and 29 injured since the start of the United States-Israeli war on Iran, according to the head of Iran's Merchant Marine Union. The list of fatalities includes 22 civilian sailors, 16 fishermen and 6 dock workers killed between February 28 and April 1. Iranian Merchant Mariners Syndicate General Secretary Saman Rezai told Al Jazeera on Friday.
Liverpool manager Arne Slot said Mohamed Salah deserves a big send-off as he confirmed he expected the departing superstar to return from injury before the end of the season. The Egypt forward, who will leave Anfield at the end of the campaign, was forced off in last weekend's 3-1 win at home to Crystal Palace, prompting fears he may have played his final game for the Reds.
A new and potentially irreversible law in the United States is being developed which would significantly change the long-standing rule of birthright citizenship for children born to Pakistani and other foreign nationals on US soil. A US senator has introduced a constitutional amendment aimed at ending automatic citizenship for anyone born in the country, arguing that the current interpretation of the 14th Amendment has been misapplied.
And Japanese police arrested a man for allegedly incinerating his dead wife at the zoo where he worked, officials and local media said Friday, following the discovery of human remains. Police arrested Tatsuya Suzuki on Thursday evening on suspicion that he transported the victim's body to a tourist facility in the northern island of Hokkaido and destroyed it through incineration there, a local police official told AFP.
Miransha. An intense exchange of fire erupted on Friday between members of the Pehel tribe and militants in Miransha, the district headquarters of North Waziristan, following the killing of tribal elder Malik Saifullah Khan Dawar. Police said, according to details, unidentified gunmen shot Saifullah outside his residence, triggering a fierce clash as armed tribesmen confronted the militants. Both sides reportedly used automatic weapons, and the exchange of fire continued for several hours.
And Islamabad. Pakistan reported 2 polio cases on Friday from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, KP bringing the total number of cases for the ongoing year to 3. An official of the Pakistan Polio Eradication Programme, speaking on condition of anonymity, said that the National Emergency Operations Centre for Polio Eradication has confirmed 2 new cases of wild polio virus, one in Bannu and another in North Waziristan. And Oscar winner Pavel Talankin was forced to check his golden statuette for his documentary Mr. Nobody Against Putin at a New York airport, and now it's missing. Talankin says he had the Academy Award in his carry-on bag for a flight to Germany on Wednesday, but airport security stopped him at John F. Kennedy International Airport because they said the award could be used as a weapon.
China will scrap tariffs for all African countries from Friday, except Eswatini, which maintains ties with Taiwan. As of December 2024, China had already implemented a duty-free policy for 33 least developed African nations. The policy now covers 53 countries and will be in place until 30 April 2028. It is unclear what will happen after that.
And as the stalemate between Washington and Tehran drags on and the world waits in hope of a deal, the very real possibility of an alternate outcome, the resumption of war, looms overhead. The clock is ticking, with Friday as the anticipated deadline for Pakistan to receive Iran's revised peace proposal after US President Donald Trump rejected a previous version. And violent crowds clashed with police outside a hospital in a remote Australian outback town Thursday night as they demanded authorities hand over an accused child killer. Dramatic footage showed police officers dodging rocks and sticks while rioters smashed police cars and set a police van on fire. Officers can be seen shooting rounds of tear gas at the crowd, with some smoking canisters picked up and thrown back. And the United Kingdom's Metropolitan Police have charged a man with attempted murder following an investigation into the stabbing of two Jewish men in Golders Green, North London. Following the stabbings in a residential area of the UK capital on Wednesday, officials raised the national terrorism threat to its second highest level, signalling that an attack within the next 6 months is highly likely.
Ukraine used its latest technology to deepen strikes against Russian oil storage, ports and refineries in the past week, bombing targets in the Urals 600 kilometres, 990 miles from its borders and prompting protests about terrorist attacks. From the Kremlin spokesman, President Volodymyr Zelensky on Wednesday announced a new stage in the use of Ukrainian weapons to limit the potential of Russia's war.
And more commercial flights have been departing from Iran's largest airport following its reopening last week. Iranian authorities announced the resumption of flights at Imam Khomeini International Airport after approximately 58 days of suspension since the launch of the US-Israel war on Iran. Flight information boards also went offline after the closure of Iran's airspace.
US pop star Britney Spears on Thursday was charged with driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs. Prosecutors outside Los Angeles said, but she could avoid jail time with a plea deal. The criminal complaint does not specify which substance the 44-year-old singer was allegedly using when she was arrested in early March.
And El Niño conditions are likely to develop during the 2026 monsoon season in South Asia, alongside higher than normal minimum and maximum temperatures across most of the region. And, according to a statement by Pakistan's Meteorological Office on Friday, El Niño is a naturally occurring climate phenomenon that warms surface temperatures in the central and eastern equatorial Pacific Ocean. It brings changes in winds and pressure and rainfall patterns. Conditions oscillate between El Niño and its opposite La Niña, with neutral conditions in between. And Iran says it will respond with long and painful strikes on US positions across the Gulf region if Washington renews attacks, and has restated its claim to the Strait of Hormuz, and complicating the plans of the United States for a coalition to reopen the waterway. 2 months into the US-Israel war on Iran, the strait remains closed, choking off 20% of the world's oil and gas supplies. And that has sent global energy prices surging and heightened concerns about the risks of an economic downturn.
A dual citizen of Turkey and Israel was detained in Istanbul after authorities discovered she had served in the Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, which is considered a big violation of Turkish law. Turkey prohibits citizens from serving in foreign militaries without official authorization.
President Asif Ali Zardari and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif termed the labour force of Pakistan the backbone of society and a pillar of national strength in statements commemorating International Labour Day on Friday. As the world commemorated the international holiday observed annually on May 1, the President and the Premier issued separate messages to mark the occasion.
And the international jury of the 61st International Art Exhibition at the Venice Biennale has resigned just over a week before the festival was to announce its prizes on May 9, organisers said on Thursday. The resignations come days after the jury announced they would not consider artists for countries whose leaders are facing charges at the International Criminal Court, an apparent reference and Silver Lion and Israel, for the prestigious Golden and Silver Lion trophy. And the Iraq March Karachi just announced something that made us giggle. They're going to be crowning a misogynist of the year very soon. The group shared the news on their Instagram ahead of their 2026 march, which is scheduled to be held on Mother's Day, May 10, at Seaview. And at least 3 vessels have been targeted in hijackings this week off the coast of Somalia in what analysts fear is a replay of past piracy around the Horn of Africa. The area was the world's most notorious hotspot for piracy in the early to mid-2000s, with an international naval coalition eventually subduing the threat it posed to global shipping.
Gaza City, Gaza Strip. On top of the rubble of a destroyed building, Ibrahim Abu Alish is busy clearing stones and collapsed roofing to prepare the way for a bulldozer that will remove what remains of the building. Ibrahim, 24 years old, starts his day in the early hours of the morning and works until evening. Employed as a labourer with a local contracting company clearing debris from buildings destroyed during Israel's genocidal war on Gaza.
And in a scene reminiscent of a computer war game, 3 battle-fatigued soldiers dressed in white snow camouflage emerged from a war-torn alley with their hands raised above their heads. They crouched down, following the orders being blasted at them, fear and shock etched across their faces as they stare down the barrel of a machine gun mounted on a so-called ground robot. And Russia has continued heavy attacks on Ukraine for the past 24 hours, with several coming overnight on Thursday and in the early hours of Friday. At least 1 person has been killed and several have been injured. A Russian drone attack overnight damaged port infrastructure in Ukraine's southern Odessa region and wounded 2 people in the Black Sea port city of Odessa, Regional Governor Ole Kuiper said on Friday morning. And the global artificial intelligence marketing industry is entering a rapid expansion phase, with new projections showing the sector could generate $82 billion in annual revenue by 2030 and perhaps $300 billion by 2035. And the Kabisi letter wrote in a post today that AI marketing sector could grow at a compound annual growth rate, CAGR, of more than 25% between 2025 and 2030 due to quick adoption of automation and data analytics and intelligent decision-making systems across businesses.
A late-night action by law enforcement agencies at 1 Constitution Avenue in Islamabad, one of the capital's most expensive residential real estate projects, has been widely reported on social media platforms as officials went door to door and asked occupants to vacate the building. The operation reportedly took place after the Islamabad High Court upheld the Capital Development Authority's CDA decision to cancel the lease of the high-rise project over a multi-billion rupee default, a local newspaper has reported.